it's lovely down in the woods today, but safer to stay at home. Forever a bear that ever there was will gather there for certain, because today's the day the teddy bears have their picnic. Picnic time for teddy bears. The little teddy bears, whoa, are having a lovely time today.
The ultimate challenge, one man alone fighting for survival in a relentless environment. Don McIntyre's lifetime dream of sailing around the world about to become reality.
We're right in there. I mean, we've got a competitive boat. I've got a great group of people behind it. I'm just the pilot, really, the person that gets the fun ride at the end of the day, because the hardest part is literally getting to the start line. We're 99% there at the moment. I mean, financially, it's a real problem. But preparation is right. I'll be mentally and physically psyched up for the event by the time we've sailed halfway around the world to get just to the start line. So we're in there with a real chance, there's no question. All our peers have seen the boat and they're impressed, so that's encouraging.
Run in 4 grueling stages, the first leg will take competitors from Newport, Rhode Island to Cape Town, a distance of 6,500 miles. This, the third BOC Classic, has attracted 25 entrants from 7 countries. September the 15th, 1990, the countdown for the sailors. It's a time of frantic final preparations and emotional farewells. From Newport to Cape Town, then into the deep Southern Ocean to Sydney, around notorious Cape Horn to Punta in Uruguay, and homeward to Newport. 27,000 miles, truly one of the world's sporting classics. Don McIntyre is relaxed. 48 hours ago, a last-minute financial snag looked like putting Don out of the race. His immediate problem is to avoid the physical hazards. For Don, 8 years of planning and his dream of sailing solo around the world is about to come to fruition. He manoeuvres with the rest of the fleet to take the starting gun.
Well, we're underway. Alvarianga just got hit by David Adams on the start, nearly pulled us in it, lost a bit of concentration, but we're looking okay. Spirit of Ipswich is falling away to leeward, and Servant is just screaming out in the front there, but we've probably got a bit much up at the moment, but Servant can't take it. It's interesting watching how tender he is. So we're just holding high and just going for it, basically following Birdie. Where's Margie?
Every bit a part of Don's BOC campaign is his wife Margie. Having sold everything they own, including their home, to fund the challenge, Margie has thrown herself fully into the venture. As head of his support crew, she'll stay in daily contact with Don and meet him at every port of call.
There you are. How much water's in here? Doesn't matter. See you, Ted. I've been looking for you over there.
Without a major corporate backer for their challenge, Margie will be a vital shore-based link in their bid to secure a sponsor. With over $300,000 in debts, they'll be paying $150 interest for every day of the race, a stark contrast to the mega budget campaigns of some of the other entrants.
Holy shit, I don't believe it. We're doing real well. This is unbelievable. Just rocketing.
Despite the lack of funds, Don's aluminium sloop is undoubtedly one of the best prepared yachts in the BOC fleet. At 50 feet, she's one of 8 boats in Class 2. Longer yachts up to 60 feet make up Class 1, and smaller boats compete in the Corinthian class. 5 years in the building, Don describes his craft as a cross between a spaceship and a sailing submarine, unsinkable like the Titanic.
Ted. 6 weeks to Cape Town. Holy shit, what have I done now? Remarkably, I feel fine. Feel absolutely fine.
What makes Don's challenge unique are the 4 cameras and microphones installed above and below deck. They'll provide an amazing insight into the physical and emotional hardships endured during this 9-month solo voyage.
The other side of the BOC, this is incredibly frustrating. Spirit of Ipswich is about 22 miles that way. Josh Hall is the guy I'm out to beat at the moment. Servant is just cleared out. He's 120 miles away, but that's just a fact of life. It's day 5 of the race, Thursday afternoon. For the first 3 days, Josh and I were racing neck and neck. We're inside all the way. I was hand steering the boat at times up to 22, 24 knots, surfing, downwind, reaching, the whole deal. But for the last 36 hours, talk about frustrating. We were side by side, quite literally, and then I decided to head a bit more south. Josh headed off to the east, and that was the beginning of coming undone, you might say. Josh picked up a bit more wind than me, and yesterday he was about 10 miles in front, although he was on a beam of me on the way to Cape Town. Right now, he's got breeze and I don't. There's nothing I can do about that. I've just got to sit here and take it as I please. I can't even turn the boat around. Look, there I am, I'm hard locked. Nothing happens. You're just slopping around here. And it's not even the doldrums. I mean, crikey, we're only about 700 miles out of Newport, so who knows what to expect. Half the fleet, in fact, has picked up just the other side of the weather pattern, and they've gone. They're clearing out. They're sailing at 8 and 10 knots, and I'm still stuck here. I'm probably, I've got another 20 miles to go, say, that way, before I get out of this area of no wind. And I've been sitting in it for 36 hours now. It was very slow sailing. Last night for 8 hours I went nowhere. It was just glassy calm like this, no moon, just the sky and stars, and that was it. And it's just so frustrating. I mean, all we want's a boat race, but the weather, that's a whole new ballgame. Well, that's really interesting. Here's me trying to miss this tropical depression. As it turns out, I've ended up in the right by the eye in the most dangerous quadrant and so on. Oh, actually I'm not, I'm over here. They've got these semicircles and so on, but the interesting part is I've actually gone right across the edge of the eye, and there's a distinct cloud formation out there, and I've now got easterly winds, which are the headwinds, so we've worked out okay. It's where I wanted to be. If I went down south, they'd be light and following, but here they're light and the headwinds, so hopefully I can cut the corner. I'll go and see if I can show you the eye. Well, believe it or not, what you're looking at here is the actual eye of Hurricane Josephine, or Tropical Depression Josephine, and I've just skirted along the northeastern edge. Well, here we are. It's Thursday the 5th of October and we're about 180 miles from what looks like being the doldrums. Right now it's 95 degrees in the cabin, it's stinking hot, and I'm surrounded by all the latest and greatest. I've got GPS, I've got weather packs, I've got radios, I've got sat-navs as well, I've got autopilots, I've got radar detectors, you name it, everything. But right now the single most important piece of equipment is my $27 car 12-volt fan, which is right there. That goes 24 hours a day to try and keep me cool. So all this sort of stuff is really great, but boy, right now I'd be lost without that fan. It's so blooming hot. 95 degrees, humidity's up around 80%, and it's going to get a lot worse too. We can't open the hatches because of all the water coming over, so we've got to grin and bear it. A couple of other little interesting things. I mean, I've got all this gear. Another important piece of sailing equipment, you need sailing gloves. The only problem is I packed all right-hand gloves, so that's a problem. The other left-hand gloves have all gone to Cape Town. That's the only spoon I've got on board, 1 teaspoon, isn't that good? I don't have a mirror, so I don't know how bad I look. You'd probably figure that out for yourself. And this is the only bottle of shampoo I've got for 7 weeks to Cape Town. So far I've managed to use 2 shampoos and I've got about that much in the bottle, so it should be just enough to get to Cape Town. I'll save one last one for when we arrive. Never mind. We're sitting in a pretty good position. Josh Hall on Spirit of Ipswich is about 60 miles south of me, but I'm further to the east, and I reckon that's the best spot to be. The Servant is still stuck in a hole with headwinds way down south. He's probably 1,000 miles or southeast of me, and I reckon we might even beat him to the trades. We've got to keep fingers crossed on that one, hopefully. So this is the BOC. It rolls on. It's a long way to Cape Town, and geez, it's surprising. I didn't put a big figure on it being quite that far, but there you go. They say 6,300 miles or something. We actually sailed about 8,500 miles to get there. So certainly a long way. I didn't bring many books. Tim wouldn't let me. It's too heavy. Never mind. Well, here we are about, what have we got? 9 degrees north of the equator. We're obviously in the beginning of the doldrum belt, and I've just had a squall come through at about 35 knots. Now we're back to 4 knots of breeze, and the wind just goes round the compass totally. So right now we're headed completely away from the course. We're actually headed north of east, back up towards Africa. But because I've been on starboard tack, I've got all the water ballast in the tank there, and I don't want to tack unless I have to. So I'm assuming that very shortly the wind will come back in at sort of 10-15 knots from the starboard side, and I'll be able to carry on. So I'm just sitting inside here at the moment, just hand steering, just drifting it around. But as you can, well, you can't read that, but we've got 3 knots of breeze. Really frustrating part of the course, I suppose, the doldrums. Not looking forward to it. I've only been out it for 24 hours, but haven't had much sleep because you've just got to literally drive the boat through every little piece. And it's the only way to get through is to sail the boat through, so you've got to make the most of every little wind shift and every bit of breeze that you get. But this little pointer here points to the breeze. You can see it's just going around the dial. There's actually nothing there. We're sailing at 1.5 knots. So I'll certainly be glad when the next few days are over. City Kids is #1 in our division at the moment. He's about 250 miles south of me. He had a really good break. He's been riding a big lift from coming down from the north when I was stuck over on the west of the course. Servant is still stuck in a hole way over to the west. He's got to tack around the corner of Brazil, so he won't be too happy at the moment. And Spirit of Ipswich, I've managed to take out probably about 120 miles on him in the last 3 days, just boat for boat, which is good. I know the boat is faster. It's just whether I can drive it enough and whether I get the luck. Josh has probably fallen in the hole too, which is bad luck. But I mean, that's happened to me as well, so that's yacht racing, I suppose. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to getting back into my bunk. There's no use trying to at the moment. I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen to the wind. When you go on deck, there's no use wearing any clothes because you just get drowned. I mean, there's so much water. Although it's quite cool. Wind chill factor when you're out there, it's really quite cool. At the moment down in the cabin here, we're about 85, 87 degrees C and 95% humidity, so it's still pretty warm.
It's quite refreshing, I suppose, because I was a bit cool in that last one, I tell you, a bit nippy. So, here we go, we're steering northeast and I really want to go south. So, we're only going at northeast at 1 knot, so it's not a real drama. So roll on the equator. Here we have one galley at about 35 degrees of heel, and it's called Cooking in the Fast Lane. We're going to have noodles and prawns tonight. So what we do is very simple, 3-minute special noodles, place into boiling water and give it a bit of a smash with a fork. Look at that, not a problem. 3 minutes time, that'll be boiling and nice and simmering and, you know, sort of doing its whole deal there. And when we get to that stage, we drain the water off, and then you add 1 packet of prawn flavour and 1 tin of prawns. Give it a stir. Voila, you have prawn noodle. So we'll just go back to a commercial break, viewers, while I do this, and I'll let you know what the end result's like shortly. Well, there we go. 3 and a bit minutes later, prawn flavouring, noodles and prawns. Smells unreal. Bit of butter in there too, just to make it, you know. Tastes good too. Not bad. Not bad. Here we come, folks. We're about to be on the equator. Stand by. 0.13 of a mile. 0.1, 0.9, 0.87, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. We're over. Here we go. We're over. Here we go, folks. Hang on to it. Hang on to it. Hang on to it. Out through the back. And there it is, folks. The equator. What you're looking at there is never been seen before. See that line on the waves? I think that's the equator. Yeah, definitely. So now, for all of you folks that have never really been on the equator. Well, here we are. We've crossed the equator and I've got away with one of the greatest delights of my life. If I was sailing with a crew right now, I'd probably be getting served something horrible. There's a tradition that when you cross the line for the first time, which is a story for me, I've never sailed across the equator before in all my sailing days, I'd get done in. There'd be someone dressed up as King Neptune and they'd preside over proceedings and accuse me of all sorts of things, and I'd have to pay the ultimate sacrifice, and I'd be covered in some sort of horrible goo which could consist of eggs and honey and muesli and Vegemite, you name it, and really get done in something horrible. But that's one of the advantages of sailing by yourself. You can do what you like. There you go.
With his equatorial shenanigans complete, Don's mind returns to the serious business of ocean racing. His main Class 2 rival, Jack Boy, on Project City Kids, is 2 full days in front, and every day is bringing Don closer to the rigours of the Southern Ocean.
Called tempting fate being out here. but the light is really fantastic. If I get away with this, I'll be really surprised. Right now, we've just come into the end of day 40. We've been through all sorts of things. From we had 150 knot squall come through. Right now, it's settled down to about 25, I suppose. And the clouds are disappearing behind me now. We've got a big band of clouds and then blue sky with the sun just setting down behind it. The funny part about a blow is that when you've got the wind and the sea really screaming, it doesn't matter. You can control the boat, set it up to the waves and do what you like. But once the wind dies down, you still end up with this sea stage. Here comes a big greasy one. It's probably about 10 feet, 12 feet high, these waves. And the camera makes it look quite slim. But anyway, so the waves have no relevance to the wind. So that's when you get the horrible sea state. And when it's really bad, you get waves breaking over the boat's bobbing around. So these waves and swirls now, they're probably around 12 feet, maybe 15 feet. The wind strength's died down to about 25, maybe 28 knots, something like that. And it's been blowing 40, I knew it had happened, 40 plus or something. I've gone through 3 sets of clothes in the last 36 hours, just getting really wet. We broke a reefing pennant today in that when we got turned inside out in the jibe. But basically everything's fine. I've got all my autopilots happening perfectly. We're still 100%, and we're on line to Cape Town. We're averaging about 9.2 knots at the moment, and I'm looking forward to some blue sky, I tell you, but I'm not going to tempt fate anymore. So I'm going back down below. See you later. Well, you wouldn't read about this, but 4 hours ago I was in a full gale, 55 knots of breeze from the south east going into the east and having all sorts of trouble trying to get here. And now we're in the lee of the land. What we've got over there is Table Mountain, Cape Town. I've made it 46 days and a few hours and I'll be in. So big moment for me, longest passage I've ever made. It's going to be quite tricky going in because there's no wind on the other side. Out here it's blowing southeast, in there it's blowing northwest. So I'm still a bit unsure of exactly what I'm going to do other than stay clear of the land and just sort of swing around, but we'll just see how it goes. Servant arrived yesterday morning. She got in about 10 a.m. in the morning. City kids got in this morning at 9 a.m. and it looks as if I'll cross the line about 6 a.m. So what that means is that Servant has got, what do we got, 32-hour lead on me, and City Kids will have about, let's see, what do we got? So I got 6 and 3, so 9 hours, which, considering we've done 6,500 miles, is absolutely fine by me. This boat's really done for the Southern Ocean, and I'm hopefully going to be a bit more reliable than Servant, so we'll just have to wait and see. But this is the closing stages of the first leg. One hell of a trip, and I'm glad to be here, believe me. I've had a shower too. I smell really different, you know, like deodorant, and shampooed my hair, and new clothes. It's going to be interesting. Should be in about 2 hours.
With the finish line in sight, Don faces a frustrating calm. It's to become a regular feature at the conclusion of each leg. With Cape Town's Table Mountain as a spectacular backdrop, Don finally crosses the line. He's more than pleased at having completed the first leg with his yacht and equipment intact. The tough conditions have seen 4 competitors retire from the race. They include fellow Australian John Biddlecombe on Interrock's Crusader, who pulled out halfway through the leg, repeating his performance in the 1986 BOC Challenge. For Don, it's time for a hard-earned break, an emotional reunion with Margie. Followed by a hero's welcome to Cape Town. The next 2.5 weeks is devoted to preparing for the second leg, a leg where icebergs and gales will replace shipping and hurricanes as the major hazards. Don's boat manager Tim Edkins is on hand to meticulously check every piece of equipment. In Cape Town, the boat also undergoes a name change from Sponsor Wanted to Urgent Sponsor Wanted. Despite Don's creditable performance and Margie's efforts, little interest is being shown back home by potential sponsors. The heartache isn't confined to the high seas.
People often ask me what was the best part of the BOC challenge, and for me it was Cape Town. I experienced self-doubt, but to be in Cape Town, in touch with the leaders 46 days after Newport, sailing with the likes of Philippe Jonteau and some of the world's greats, for the first time I was a part of this race. And then I had this spine-tingling sort of experience of anticipation heading into the Southern Ocean for the first time. The boat was built for the Southern Ocean. We had financial pressures, but Margie was just coping, and I was keen to get there, so we were off back in the race. Love you, babe. Quick, go for it. Love you. All right, too. Love you heaps. Give it heaps. Oh, happy birthday, fellas. Thanks for the pickup. Yeah, thanks a lot. We'll give it heaps. Thanks for your help. Okay, see you later. Bye-bye, Ted. Love you heaps. Bye-bye. Good luck, David.
Ahead of the fleet, 7,000 miles to Sydney through the Southern Ocean, pushed along by gale-force tailwinds. Don and the two remaining Aussies are sailing for their home port.
Where's the bloody start line? That yellow buoy and down there. Oh, beauty, thanks. Yeah, talking to the camera at the moment. David Adams is sailing behind me, giving me Mickey Mouse because I'm talking to nobody on board, so... as far as he's concerned, I'm cracked up already, talking to no one. But there you go. It's a sunny day. We're going to get clobbered when we get out. We're going to get probably 35 knots on the nose, so it's going to be a real interesting 24 hours, I think. Anyway.
But last-minute problems almost see Don miss the Cape Town start. Sponsor Wanted was the last boat towed from the docks and joins the rest of the fleet with only minutes to spare.
Okay. I just can't go too fast, that's all. He's right in front of me. Okay. There it goes. We're away on the second leg. Holy shit, there is a lot of boats out here. Okay, now just got a tail jar. It's all happening. That was a good start.
Don's happiness with being at sea once again is marred on the first night by a rare bout of seasickness, no doubt caused by problems before the start. There'd been a fire in the generator, 2 malfunctioning autopilots, broken wind instruments and a bunk soaked in kerosene. Margie returns to Sydney where she'll work to pay the bills, continue her efforts to find a sponsor, talk to the media and encourage her husband when his morale is down. Quickly back into a daily routine, Don ponders the arrival of his first Southern Ocean gale. He'd never been there before. He's racing the boat hard, sleeping and eating when he can, but always talking to the Australian media in daily interviews. Don and Margie both know it could open the door to a sponsor. Without one, they don't really know if they'll leave Sydney for the third stage.
Mother Nature's just incredible, absolutely incredible. They've had dolphins down here tonight, and the birds, I mean the birds that have to be the best flyers in the world. When this BOC's over, the next thing for Margie and I is to build a plane. We're going to build a plane and have a bit of fun. Margie's going to get a licence and so on. But just watching these birds fly around here, the albatross and so on, and the petrels, and you know, some of them I don't even know what names are. They're just masters of the sky. They're the most amazing flyers. It's just incredible.
Well, straight up ahead, about 1 mile is City Kids. Straight off my beam here, about 100 yards is a bunch of whales. There's big whale tails and everything, you name it. City Kids tipped me off. I'm hoping there's no more in front. I don't know whether you can see all that, but there's some really big whales in there. It looks like a pot of about 20 or 30 of them. Hopefully you'll get a tail in a minute. There goes one, just off to the side. I don't know what type they are. There's a good tail. Boy, I tell you what, they're on the nose. Look at that. Wow, what a beauty. Well, this is about as close as I ever want to get to a bunch of whales, I tell you. And what's this, you might ask? This is a spinnaker pole. But what's this? This is the new flexible version of spinnaker poles when they happen to hit the water at 23 knots going down a wave. So we've got one good pole left. Never mind. What I'm bloody doing here. No, must be changing his mind. Anyway, so Josh is still quite a way up the front there, and I'm getting horribly bloody giddy trying to film this guy landing. Come on. No, he's bailing out again. Oh, bugger him. This time he looks set. Here he is. He's down. He's down. He's up. He's down. He's down. There he is. He finally did it. Well, I'm not about to rob a bank or wear this balaclava because it's so bloody cold down here. It's about 1.5 degrees Celsius in the cabin at the moment. And your bunk seems horribly warm, I tell you. My bunk is so warm when you get out of huffing and puffing steam. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway. I'm having to do my own weather maps. We've got a voice weather report, and I'm having to draw my own pictures because the weather facts, which is a $5,000 machine there, is useless because the station isn't transmitting any legible signals. The bad news is there's a low pressure system coming about a day and a half away, which is quite a long way south, so we could end up with headwinds unless I go north. But I'll make that decision in the morning. I've got to just follow its progress and see what happens. It's gusting 50 knots. We're getting laid down flat. I've packed everything away just in case we do get knocked down, because there's some big seas building just as it was dusk, and it's going to happen sometime. So we just want to make sure I'm ready for it. Anyway, time will tell. We've got a sked coming up shortly, so I'll have a chat to the other guys and see what goes on. There it is, real live snow. Look at that. Bloody freezing out here. Just about make microscopic snowballs out of that one. This is breakfast a la cruise ship sponsor wanted. The can's so bloody cold you can't hold it. It's freezing. A tin of apricots. So, I'll tell you a funny story. This is how your mind plays tricks on you down here. The Southern Ocean is incredibly intimidating.
The lead up to the story goes like this. I've hit a whale. I've detected a problem with the rudder, so I'm really a bit edgy about some parts of the boat and the keel, you know, because it really socked this whale really hard. Anyway, every time I'm out doing something, I'm always thinking, you know, is something going wrong? I'm always checking the rudder, things like that. So the other day I'm sailing along, I'm hand steering because it was a pretty good day, the sun was out, and we're sailing at about 12 knots. All of a sudden, for no apparent reason, I mean it was still blowing, for no apparent reason, the boat sort of goes dead in the water. And, you know, I'm sort of steering the boat, and we just went from sort of 12 knots down to about 6 knots, and I was turning the rudder and nothing's happening and things like that. And just prior to that, I'd been down below and there was a few things had fallen around. I had the companionway door shut, and I've been thinking to myself, geez, anything could happen down here when I'm in the cockpit and I wouldn't know what's going on. So my immediate impression was that all of a sudden the boat had got incredibly heavy. And for a split second I thought, shit, we're sinking. So I dived for the companionway, I just let the wheel go, dived down below expecting to see water up to my waist, and there's no water here. I checked the window in the door for the next compartment before I open it, there's no water there, so I go in, there's nothing. Check the forward compartments, no water, so I rush back out the cockpit and think, crikey, what's going on? Yeah, everything's still weird, the boat's dead. The rudder is moving as I'm moving the wheel, but nothing's happening, and I'm thinking, oh no, shit, the rudder skeg is bloody peeled apart and is stalling out the rudder, or the rudder itself has come off the shaft. So I drop all the sails to slow the boat down and jump down the aft compartment, and I'm in there looking at everything, checking the quadrant, the rudder, everything seems fine. I can't work it out. And by this time, I'm not joking, I am shaking with fear because it's blowing and it's cold water and you're out here by yourself, and I'm envisaging all these sorts of things, you know, thinking, oh, I should have launched a life raft if we're going down, just millions of things flashing through your mind. Anyway, I look over the transom and there's a lump of weed wrapped around the rudder about the size of a car. Huge kelp. And of course what it was doing was just slowing the boat down and making the rudder totally ineffective. So I nearly jumped through the moon when I saw that, because all of a sudden I'd gone from being really incredibly scared, you've got no idea, to thinking, how ridiculous is this? I mean, it's just a lump of weed around the rudder, but it just goes to show how your mind can play tricks on you down here. It's very intimidating. It's the only way to describe it. You're always, not on edge, but you're always thinking of the things that might happen and what you've got to do to get out of it if it does happen. And boy, I tell you what, I haven't been so scared in a long time. The adrenaline rush was so big that it took me probably 2 hours to calm down afterwards. It was a pretty good feeling actually, because it was like having a huge high, you know, all of a sudden just a big release. But that was an interesting experience. A lump of weed around the rudder, and I thought I was for it, I tell you. I was so scared. Unbelievable. Good breakfast. Real problem with my bloody hands. I don't know whether you can see that. All my skin's just flaking off. I've just come down from dropping the storm staysail and putting the storm jib up. We just blew out the storm staysail, and I've never seen so much wind. It must be 70 knots out there. It's absolutely screaming. I was literally having to go and crawl on the foredeck and hands and knees, and I nearly got washed over the side, which was fun. Anyway, it's all a bit of a trick. I was at the mast and trying to put the storm jib up and doing the halyard in a bloody big wave, and whack, I went straight through the shrouds. So I'm hanging half in the water, half on the bloody rails, and it was really quite funny at the time. But anyway, it was very close. Fortunately, I was clipped on, and I was clipped on the windward side. So I'm still here. Anyway, the BOC's a bucket of fun, I tell you. My bloody fingers are a pain in the neck.
happens after a knockdown. We just got laid flat and everything is everywhere. That's stuff out of the chart table, my book there. That bucket was on the ground. Everything's just gone crazy. So I've got some damage on deck too by the look of it, so I've got to go up there and get it sorted out. I've got water all over the bloody place. Everything just went arse up. Totally arse up. It was quite a long bloody way, believe me. Well, things are getting really grim here at the moment. Whoa, shit. We've had, look at that pumpkins on the chart table. We've had 3 knockdowns in about the last hour and a half, and believe it or not, I got one on film. Just unreal. Everything's turning into a shit fight down here. And things are a little bit grim, but we're still hanging in there. So, oh, there's rubbish everywhere. Everything in the sink has been flying. It's just unreal. Anyway, things could be worse. Things could be worse. I better go and fix it all up and check on deck. That was a bad one, that last one. Real bad.
In their first encounter with the vicious Southern Ocean gales, both boat and skipper emerge relatively unscathed. Not so fortunate Jack Boy on City Kids, who suffers major rigging failure and has to head north to calmer seas. Josh Hall aboard Spirit of Ipswich dislocates his knee and also experiences equipment failure. Nonetheless, Josh manages to hold the lead and will enter Bass Strait ahead of sponsor Wanted.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to be in a BOC, out of the way, hey. Today we're still racing, even though it is Christmas. And I've got a Christmas bonbon. And, excuse me, do you want to give me a hand to rip this bonbon open? Why, certainly, I'm happy to do that. So here we go, one Christmas bonbon. Bang! What's inside, you might ask? Another hat. Here's the hat. And there's, I'll put this hat on top of the other hat. We've got something else in here. We've got a square puzzle. Let's go. And jingle bells to the rest of the fleet.
The first whiff of Australian soil. Margie has organised a Christmas Day rendezvous in Bass Strait to collect onboard footage for media release back in Sydney. 10 minutes out of the race, but a small price to pay.
Land Hall, that's Grassy Harbour there, King Island, and here come the troops. Da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da.
Did you like your Christmas presents?
Merry Christmas, Teddy.
Margie gets Don's tapes, but a kiss and cuddle is out of the question. Even that's not worth disqualification.
absolutely bloody everywhere. I'm just about to run over a patch of them. Incredible. All the way, see up that way? And all the way you can see down that way.
Out of Bass Strait and into 50-knot headwinds before a dream sail up the coast to within sight of Sydney. The dream turns into a nightmare when for 14 hours Don sits becalmed. Friends and supporters share his sense of utter frustration as the race continues, but Don goes nowhere. After 34 days, Don receives a tumultuous hometown welcome. Although third across the line in Class 2, Don maintains second place overall.
Sort of halfway through the race, and we've had a lot of dramas, and I've been, you know, scared, and I've been happy, and I've been depressed, and all that sort of stuff. So the race is shaping up to be just what I thought it would be.
How do you cope out there on your own?
I ring Margie every day, quite literally. I mean, sometimes twice a day. I hate to think what the phone bill is going to be, but it really does make a difference because we're really, you know, in this thing together. You know.
Save them for you. It's all right.
Good to see you in the flesh.
Oh yeah, too true. Yeah, it's good to be here. Good to be here.
Oh, catch that!
Woo!
Robin Davey, on board the smallest boat in the fleet, sails into Sydney. He's full of praise for the McIntyre Mid-Ocean Talkback radio show.
I had a very comfortable time. I had plenty of food, no whales. No, I could get all my thrills every day by tuning in and listening to what had happened to Don that day. If I tuned in and heard what had happened to Don, then that's it. That was it. That was it for the day. We knew then what the catastrophe of the day was. Good old Don.
Back home for a 5-week break, the McIntyres finally secure that elusive sponsor. With millions of Australians following Don's progress on radio and television, a major bakery decides to lend support. The name sponsor wanted disappears to make way for Buttercup.
It's impossible for me to try and describe to you 1 ounce of the feeling that Margie and I experienced now that we'd finally secured that elusive sponsor. Buttercup were backing us for the last half of the race, and what's more, they're a good, strong, healthy company, so it was great. Still, decisions had to be made. We were headed back into the Southern Ocean. I knew what it was like to experience the mast going underwater, and our course was to take us as far south of Hobart as Townsville is north, so it was going to get cold. There were going to be icebergs. Still, it was Cape Horn or bust. Nothing, absolutely nothing was going to stop us now.
A hell of a way to earn a living, but it's a great race.
On a perfect Sydney day, thousands of spectators take to the water and cram harbourside vantage points to watch the most spectacular of all the BOC starts. 19 of the original 25 starters make their way through the heads for the third and most hazardous part of the race.
So, we're off down to the Horn now. It's going to be interesting. Hopefully I won't have too many knockdowns or rollovers or anything stupid like that. Fantastic sailing at the moment. I was the only one to set a kite, but East Buttercup have got a good run, so here's the next 5 weeks, and I'm certainly going to miss Margie like crazy, but never mind.
From Sydney to Punta, another leg of more than 7,000 miles. The fleet is heading further south than ever before. History shows that for everyone, a life-threatening ordeal lies ahead.
Well, 6 days out, we're sailing in fog off the southern tip of New Zealand. Had a depressing first few days, but I'm getting back into it now. Servant 4 hit a whale last night, crushed his bow a bit, but he has a special compression area with foam, so he's not actually taking water. I don't think it's going to slow him down. He seems happy enough, so he's carrying on. And yesterday, Jack on City Kids whacked his head really heavily on the boom, which put him out for quite a while, and Josh and I got very concerned about him and nearly ended up turning back. Because he hadn't come up on the radio for about 8 hours, and that was enough for us. So fortunately he came up 15 minutes before we were set to go. Our only drama really has been the motor not wanting to start out of Sydney. Had water in the block, but I got rid of it and it hasn't shown its head again, so hopefully I won't have any more trouble with it. Everything on board's functioning quite okay. No real problems. This fog is interesting. I've got to go over Shallow Bank tonight. Well, I'll get there tonight, and there's a big fishing fleet on it apparently. John Martin sailed through and reckons there was 40, 50 boats, so I'll probably be up and down all night. Hopefully this fog won't be around. If I have to go through that bank with fog and a fishing fleet, that's going to be real interesting. Spirit of Ipswich is about 60 miles to the southwest of me, and City Kids is a bit further down as well. Temperature's not so bad. We've been pretty lucky that way. It's only just starting to get cool now. So it's yet to see how cold it's going to get. We're going to go down to about 55, which is 300-400 miles further south than the last leg, but we'll just have to hang in there and see what happens. I took the heater off. I got sick of the paraffin leak in the end, so we don't actually have a heater on board. But I've got lots of parbakes, long life bread, that have to be heated in the oven, so that'll help heat the cabin as well. Anyway. This is called sneaking up on 2 seals. These guys are just sitting here and they don't know I'm coming yet. Look at that, just snoozing there. He doesn't know we're here yet, he's asleep. Whee! He still hasn't heard me. I'm gonna run over him. He's oblivious to the fact. Hello! Hello, Mr. Seal. Hey, wake up. Hey. Hello. They finally realised what's going on. Ah, that's a nice how do you do. Stick your rear end up in the air. Between Sydney and the Horn, and the boat's about 300 miles south of me is seeing heaps of icebergs. Philippe saw 45 icebergs in 24 hours, and
last night John Martin hit a growler. He's cracked the stem of the boat. He's looking at delamination of the hull, and he's taking a bit of water in as well, so the race is over for him, which is really bad luck. We're sailing in perfect conditions at the moment. It's just unbelievable. We haven't even shut the companionway door yet since we left Sydney. We've got the curtain down, of course, but really the conditions are just unbelievable. The seas have never really got up. 38 knots is the highest wind strength I've had, and we've sailed about 2,800 miles or something, so things could be a hell of a lot worse. Right now, Spirit of Ipswich is about 60 miles to the north of me, and City Kids is about 60 miles to the south of me, and I'm trying to stay at around about 50 degrees south. I figure that's, 55 degrees south. I figure that's about as far as I want to go. There's icebergs around, the water temperature's getting cooler all the time. Probably within 24 hours we'll be in an area of our highest risk, but they should be pretty thin on the ground, certainly nothing like what they're experiencing down south. David Adams has or had growlers running down the side of the hull, and Mike Plant on Duracell, he had to round up and just missed a berg, didn't come up on radar, and he was hand steering at the time. He said if he wasn't hand steering, he doesn't know what would have happened. Nandor Farr, he had a classic. He came up against an iceberg that was 30 miles long and had to sail around it to get past. So it's just unreal. They've all been suckered down there because the weather's so good, and I'm sure if they knew the ice was going to be that thick, they wouldn't be there. There's just no way. The risks are too hard. So it makes me wonder. I mean, I'm in Division 2, which is my favourite expression, the boys' division, and we're quite happy to stay up at these latitudes, 55. But if I'm going to do the next race in 4 years' time, I've got to go south. That's all you can do. So I definitely have to build the boat with that fact in mind. And it's going to be a hell of a way to sail around the world. I might as well enjoy life for the next 4 years. But yeah, the Pacific doesn't seem to be as bad as the Indian Ocean as far as as far as south goes. I mean, 55 south, that's a long way south for me. Yesterday, had the biggest fight of the race so far. We're sailing along at about 14 knots. Hello, there's a whale. There's a whale. What do you know about that? There's a whale. Now, can I get this bloody camera mount undone in time? There's a whale over here. Now I've lost him in the sun. There's a whale just over here. What a classic. I don't think you're going to see it. Just lolling around. No, you're not going to see it. What a bugger. Well, that's all very interesting. No, not going to come up again. There's a whale probably about 40 feet. Back into some real live action. I want to make sure I don't drop the bloody camera here. Back to the camera. That was interesting. There was a bloody whale. It looked like a mink whale. It had the little thing in the back. Is about 150 yards, or less than that, maybe 100 yards over there, just lolling around on the surface. Maybe there's no more around. That's rather interesting. Anyway, yeah, so I'm sailing along with the number 1 poled out to starboard, and we had a 40-knot gust come through, 38, 40-knot gust, and the sheet just snapped. And of course, then what happened is it goes forward, the boat rounds up, I get on the sheet winch, start bringing it in, and it got wrapped around the spar, but the wrong way. I couldn't furl it in, couldn't furl it out. It's trying to shake the rig to pieces, and I'm up there just having a hell of a time. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Unfortunately, after 2 hours, I finally got it back. We've stabilised the situation, and all that's happened is I've torn the leaks a little bit just by the clue where the sheet connects. But I was really worried for a while. I just couldn't get it down, couldn't get it in, couldn't get it out. It was just a nightmare. It's the worst 2 hours of the race so far. It really was not much fun. But I better get back to look at the whales. It's interesting.
in the middle of a 50-knot gale ourselves. We've got to take the main down. I've been on 4 reefs and we've been getting plastered, something awful. Anyway, the bad news is that John's getting off his boat. Birdie's there to pick him up now. We've been sort of standing by for the last 4 hours, and it's not much fun out here at the moment, especially thinking about John, poor bugger. Anyway, it's part of the name of the game, I suppose, but I'm certainly happy to be sitting at 54 south. Those guys went down to 62. John whacked the growler, damaged the boat. He's hung onto it for 2 days, but the boat's just breaking up underneath him. So, fortunately, Birdie was within 20 miles of him when he decided to get off, and he's going to get out of it. Hopefully, he's got a transfer yet, which is always a high-risk situation. So, anyway, we'll see how it goes. He should be off the boat within the next hour or so. Last night we had 50 knots. Tonight we've got another 50 knots. The sea's all over the place. Actually, the sea's not bad tonight compared to last night. But I'm just back into cruising mode now. We just got to get home, you know. And I miss Ted. Anyway, all part of the fun. Oh, I got the radar going flat out, trying to find bloody icebergs, which is a nightmare. Poor old Josh, he got really freaked out last night because he was pounding into it and couldn't see anything. The radar's probably ineffective, and he was really worried about icebergs. City kids saw an iceberg tonight. I haven't seen any yet, but you don't know whether the radar's tuned up or not properly because you've got nothing to tune it on, so there's not much you can do. And it's bloody freezing outside. The water temperature's going up and down between sort of 5 and 9 degrees. So I'm right on the edge of the Antarctic convergence line, which is probably a safe place to be for the icebergs. There's probably very few icebergs up here. So just got to keep our fingers crossed and hope we don't hit any. Anyway. Just got rolled 360 and I miss Ted, and sometimes I really wish I wasn't here, I tell you. Anyway, I was on the radio to Eve and I thought, oh, here we go again, another knockdown, this will be fun. Then we kept going down, we went down on the port side and we came up on the starboard side. So and it's still blowing 50 or 60 knots, and we're still getting clobbered, and there's horrible seas out there, and there's not much more I can do. I've got the storm staysail up, and we just truck along down, and everything's sweet. The funny part was I nearly had the camera going. That would have been real funny to catch it again. Anyway, we fared pretty well, really. We've got a bit of water down below. Had to cut a hole in the mainsail. The mainsail filled up with water, and it was in danger of ripping or breaking. It must have half a ton of water in it. So this is one of the times when I wish I wasn't here. But there you go. And emotionally it's very draining. Because, oh, for lots of reasons, I don't know. But I reckon that big boys don't cry, you know. Well, there you go. It's a strong boat. I'd hate to be out here in anything other than this boat, I tell you. I've got to keep telling myself all the time that I've got a strong boat, a strong rig, I've got 7 watertight compartments, I've got good radio communications, I've got everything. So really I'm pretty safe as I can get. But it's still pretty scary out here, I tell you. The big seas. Anyway, I'm still looking for icebergs, but I can't find any on the radar. So I just hope there's none out there.
and we've still got another 2 weeks of this yet. But this is a really big blow up front, and who knows what's going to happen. Anyway, it's just blowing constant. And I suppose, who knows, I don't know. It's all very grey, everything at the moment. I don't mind telling you, I'm a really little bit scared. We're about 4 hours from Cape Horn, and for the last 18 hours we've had 50 to 60 knots. We've been knocked flat. I've lost count of the number of times. And the seas are absolutely diabolical. We've got shallow water, low visibility, we've got stacks of problems. I can't turn the corner once I get to the Horn. Jack's been knocked down a couple of real bad ones in the last hour. It's been a real nightmare. I haven't slept for about 3 days now. It's just the worst possible scenario for Cape Horn. I mean, it's just unreal. And I've been really scared, really, really scared. It's unreal. I haven't wanted to do any filming because it's probably a stupid idea, because I'm probably superstitious, you know, like it's really nasty outside, complete whiteout. You never know when you're going to get hit. And I know I should be out there filming it, but I just don't want to, because it's tempting fate, you know, like it's serious stuff out here at the moment. It's just unreal. And you know, hopefully I get through it okay and we'll look back and laugh, but it's pretty grim, I tell you. I haven't well, you know, I mean, you just never know when you're going to get hit. The waves are unreal, they're just rolling through one after the other. We went through a period where we're coming in from towards the continental shelf, and it was just chaos. It was just absolutely unbelievable. I've lost half the gear on the back of the boat. Wind generator's been washed completely off. Just broke the stainless tube, the solar panels ripped off again, the sat-nav area was buggered, everything's washed out of the cockpit, but I'm really, it's too hairy to go outside and even fix it up. I've got the storm staysail up at the moment, it keeps back winding, and I'm really worried about that, given if that goes, I've got to get the storm jib out and all the rest of it, and the wind just won't go under 60 knots. The barometer's doing a slow rise, but it's just ever so slow. So I just don't know what, you know, how long this is going to last or anything, and it's really, I've just had the pits, you know, I've just had enough of the Southern Ocean. I guess I don't want to be here. Anyway, that's part of the BOC, I suppose. It's all part of it. But I haven't, it's unreal, you know, like this leg has been really depressing, and it's typified by the fact that I haven't done much filming. I'm usually switched on when it comes to doing this because I want to get it back, but this one's, oh boy. I'd just be so glad when we turn the corner. We've had nothing but gales for weeks and weeks now, one after the other, bang bang. And I mean, I'm just so glad I've got a good boat. I keep telling myself I'm safe because the boat is really bulletproof, touch wood. But you just never know when the situation's going to change instantly. It's just really scary. And you know, up until we're always thinking about the next race. You know, probably trying to do it in a 60-footer and stuff. Then you get out here and you're thinking, holy crikey, what a worry. But I suppose that's what it's all about, putting myself up against the wall and being really scared. I'd rather jump out of a plane with a parachute. That was a piece of cake compared to this, I tell you, because it's just so intimidating. In fact, even if I had the storm in another area, if it was in the Tasman or somewhere else, it wouldn't be so bad. But because it's Cape Horn, it's really psychs you out, you know. It's really just amazing. So, you know, I can't sleep. You just lay in your bunk and stare at the wind instruments, and it's really, really bad. There's a big wave just broke right behind the boat. So, anyway, all part of the fun. And I miss Ted, and it's just going to be so good when this is all over. I just hope we get through it, you know, like, just hope we get through it. We're about 5 hours away from Cape Horn. So I'm going to try and pass it about 3 or 4 miles off, get it on radar, and then try and head up towards the, head north. But there's just no way I'll be able to go cut north on this, with this sea, unless there's a bit of a lee, and to find that lee I've got to come in really close. So it's going to be touch and go, and of course it will have been dark for a couple of hours. So it's going to be just horrible, just absolutely horrible. Even if the wind dies out, the sea's going to be there for ages, so it's just, I don't know. Yeah, one of those things. I suppose I better try and film something outside. See what you can see out the bloody window. Still blowing like, I don't know whether you can read that, but it says 40 knots nearly there. That's apparent wind, and we're doing 10, so there's 50 knots outside. And here's our graphic footage of Cape Horn. There it is there, that little green dot there, which is, each one of these rings represents 2 miles, so it's 6 miles away. We're 6 miles away from Cape Horn, and we're about to pass it in about the next hour. So after all this I've got here at night time. The cloud bank is up high and the moon is down low, so I can see the silhouette of Cape Horn. It seems really close, so I'm gearing up and I'm going to go out and have a look. It's bloody unbelievable. I mean, it's the biggest buzz, so bye, catch you later. This is a Stretcho de la Mer going through the wrong way. We've got a 4-knot head current and the boat's sailing at about, the boat's probably sailing at about 11 knots. So we're doing about 7 knots over the bottom, and some of the waves are just amazing. We're just ploughing into them. There's a ship coming through the channel there, and there's some amazing islands around the place. That cloud bank there is a huge front that's just come up behind me. 20 minutes ago I had 50 knot norwesterlies, now I've got 35 knots southerlies. So they're right behind us, which is just what we sort of didn't want, but that's it. You can see the cloud bank there, and if we arc across, that's going to be the South Atlantic Ocean out there. As soon as I break out, there's Argentina coming through, and there's that cold front behind us. Look at that, what a beauty. And that back there was Cape Horn and all the boys. Here's the remnants of Cape Horn. 1 wind generator completely missing, 1 sat-nav aerial buggered, 1 solar panel just about ripped off, 1 auto helm wind indicator cable snapped, 1 monitor wind vane buggered, and another wind generator, which is not looking too healthy either. But the camera survived, but the recorder doesn't work because the humidity's so high. So all very interesting. City Kids didn't make it through the Straits, and he's had to go right around the Falklands. So basically, in the last 2 days, I've managed to gain about nearly 120 miles on him, which is really great. It means I'm back into 2nd place in our division for this leg, the 3rd leg. So that's a plus. Anyway, we've got about 5 days to go to Punta, and 5 days to go till I see Ted. And 5 days to go till I get off the boat, and 5 days to go till I have a hot bloody shower, a good meal, and I'm really looking forward to it. So who knows what the weather will bring between here and there. It's definitely going to be variable in direction and obviously variable in strength, so we're going to have to earn every bit of the mileage that we make. Anyway, it's getting warmer. The cabin's 15 degrees C. The water temperature is 11 degrees C, so we're slowly heading north, which is a plus. That's a plus. A lot of water over the boat at the moment. A lot of water. Anyway, We shall see. Back to it.
The BOC is not all about storms and gales. It really can be quite enjoyable at times. Now's one of those times. Not sailing super fast, but super enjoyable.
Well, just as I figured, I'm probably 2.5 days out of Punta del Este, and we've got flat water, blue sky, there's not a cloud on the sky, and I've reminisced about my experiences at Cape Horn, and just as I expected, things certainly look really good right now. They were pretty grim then, and really I learned a lot about myself, and funnily enough, once it's all over, you sort of look at it in retrospect and think, well, it really wasn't anything other than I probably expected anyway. It's just that we were lucky that Cape Horn really turned it on and gave us a classic gale. I really thought about my emotions then, and there's no question. I went through a really weird period. A week before I got to Cape Horn was absolutely nothing. It didn't mean a thing. It was just a rounding mark in the course, and just went around, and I thought I was missing out on something. I really thought, oh, I should be all excited about going around Cape Horn, but it just didn't worry me. And then, of course, when the storm came, all of a sudden I realised the whole impact and the whole feeling of Cape Horn, and the fact that there's so many people have been lost around Cape Horn, and it's just got a real spooky sort of sense to it that I just got caught up in the whole thing, and it really raced away, and it was very interesting. I spent hours, literally hours, just standing in the companionway, looking through the bubble there at the waves in absolute awe. And as I mentioned before, it wasn't so much that the storm was anything that we couldn't cope with, but it was the combination of the storm and the reputation of Cape Horn that really psyched me out. And I was scared. I was really scared. Which was real interesting. Still, we've gone round it, and I'm still not put off the next race. If I can come up with a sponsor and build a 60-footer maybe, I reckon I'd be there. I've learned a hell of a lot. I know how to tackle it a bit better next time. That's Cape Horn, that is. So now it's just back into yacht racing. City Kids has gained 110 miles on me in the last 24 hours. I was 180 miles in front of him, and I was becalmed. Last night I just sat and went nowhere, had the spinnaker up. But once again, the emotions of the race take over. I really wasn't concerned because it was so beautiful out here. It was unreal. There was absolute glass out on the water, had perfect reflection of the stars, and it was just absolutely amazing. And it had beautiful sunset with not a cloud in the sky. And really eerie yellow light, and then this morning a fantastic sunrise. So the race is starting to, I mean, it's important, and you really want to keep the boat moving as fast as you can, but all of a sudden I feel as if there's a huge release and I'm able to sit back and enjoy what's happening again. So whilst I might not necessarily be what would you say, the best dressed sailor in the fleet at the moment with all my Larry colours on, I'm certainly enjoying life. And it's kind of funny, Margie's in Punta. I'm really looking forward to seeing her and catching up, but at the same time I'm really going to miss being on the water again. I'm starting to enjoy it a lot now, probably because I know that the Atlantic is nowhere near as ferocious as the Southern Ocean. I mean, it can still get some really nasty storms, but I know what to expect up here, and I can sail the boat properly, and I think there's some enjoyable times ahead. So the worst of it's over, there's no question. And all of a sudden the completion of a dream seems imminent. I can see the finish line in Newport, and that's a hell of a bloody, it's a hell of a buzz to me.
The third leg has developed into a major battle for second place between Buttercup and City Kids, with both sailors swapping places many times. Within sight of the finish line, Don holds a comfortable lead of 2 miles. But for the third time in this race, fate is to deal Don another cruel blow. As he sits becalmed, Jack Boy sails round, winning the Battle of the River Plate. Boy beats Buttercup by 2.5 hours to take second place.
Don has been finishing for the last 6.5 hours, and he's just about now to cross the line. So, Margie, this is it for us, I guess.
Guess it's all
Until March 31st.
Line honours in Class 2 went to Servant 4, but Don can't wait to share a bottle of champagne with his main rival, Jack Boy.
Punta del Este, what an amazing stopover. The sense of relief at finally having got around Cape Horn was unreal. Everyone was letting their hair down. In fact, I even started to think about the 1994 BOC Challenge. Support crews, race organisers, sponsors, we were all having this amazing party, but the underlying theme was that it's still a yacht race, and this last leg was as important as any other. I took every ounce of weight I could off the boat, I fitted all my good sails, and on start day we were out of there like you wouldn't believe. I knew the weather was going to be good on this last leg, and at one stage I had a spinnaker up for nearly 4 days and didn't touch it. Still, there always is this fantastic saying, the race is never over until the fat lady sings, and for me, that was very nearly the case. Well, we got off to a good start. We must have been close to first across the line. I've got everyone breathing down my back behind me. Shouldn't really be doing this, but what the heck. There's Josh, City Kids, Jose, City Kids, there's Spirit, there's Credit Agricole coming straight up behind, there's the start boat. So most of the fleet is behind us at the moment, and we're just trying to make for the mark. There's my spectator fleet, look at that, my #1 support crew. Smile! There she is, what a beauty. But I still prefer Margie. Hi, how are you? Okay, here's my kids support crew. Kids everywhere. There's Margie down behind on that buoy there. There's all the other guys behind us. Told you it wouldn't happen very long. Yep. Yep. This is the second time it's happened. But he's about to take me now, just powering along. He looks really smart. You're a beauty. Now we just got to sail the boat.
The Aussie skipper gets a dream start, crossing the line first and leading the field for 25 minutes. From Punta, the fleet faces a downhill run of 7,000 miles to the finish line at Newport.
There's New Spirit of Ipswich. I've been after him all day and I've finally just about caught up to him, although he's chucked a jibe in so he can come over and take some photos of each other. We're about a day and a half out of Punta del Este on our way to Newport. rivals. We're having a real good race together. It's good fun, keeps the interest up. There goes Josh, crossing in front of me. My second bird. They picked the best spot. This guy just turned up this morning. This guy's been blown way offshore. I'm about 150 miles out and he's just decided to come on board for a rest for the night. He's been sleeping and walking around the deck and making a mess everywhere. Went for a morning fly and now he's come back again. There it is. A bit of junk floating in the South Atlantic. Funny part is it's a bottle. It's probably got a message in the bottle saying shipwreck survivors or something. So we'll see what happens. Well, talk about Animal Farm. 3 crabs and a fish. They were hanging around that bottle. They scooped up the bottle and they came with it. Up on the foredeck, there's the bird farm. So there's a pot of whales out to port as well. There's no shortage of bloody life, only no breeze. Never mind. Now I've just got to decide what to do with them all. This bird won't go. He's happy to sit there, or he's not much of a sailor. And these guys, if I put them back in without their bottle, they've got no protection at all. So I don't know what to do. Well, I decided to put the bottle back, put the crabs back and the fish back as well. I never thought I'd see the day I'd chuck a bit of rubbish back. Well, I'm surrounded by whales and there's one just up in front here. I think it's safe enough to come reasonably close. Whether he goes under me or not, I'm not sure. There he is. They were both headed on the same course. So this will be interesting. Oh, I think he's gone down. He saw me coming. Well, these guys are about 20 miles offshore. It looks what looks like a bloody windsurfer. Unbelievable. Must be coming out to pick up pots or something. I wouldn't go in Sydney Harbour in one of those, let alone out here. Probably wondering what the hell I'm doing here with no clothes on. Never mind. This is a typical doldrums rain squall. Been 30 knots in this, see the water coming out of the main, and I've had a beautiful shower. I smell like a rose instead of a black hole. I won't describe what I used to smell like. It's been blowing 30 knots in this lot, but now it's settled back to 24. Well, this is the kind of sailing you dream about. It makes the Southern Ocean look a long way away, believe me. You know, like the chances of getting a knockdown out here are next to impossible. We've been sailing for 3,500 miles in some of the best sailing I've ever had in my life. Flat water, good breezes. I've reefed the mainsail once in 3,500 miles, which is unbelievable. You feel as if you want to do it just to practice so you remember how. All I've been doing is spinnakers up and down, number 1 in and out versus the number 2. And in the last 2 days we've been averaging over 10 knots, so we're really making good time towards Newport. I'm still holding on to second place overall, and in this leg I'm only 80 miles behind Savant 4, which is, you know, I'm pretty happy about. I've cleared out on Spirit of Ipswich and City Kids there a couple hundred miles astern, so the boat's going well. And I'm already thinking about crossing the finish line. I shouldn't probably, because a lot of things can happen between now and then, but boy, what a day that's going to be. It's really going to be something. for me and Ted. So I suppose this is great sailing, but the saddest story of the trip is my little white ibis. He was on board for nearly 2 days, and he got chased off the boat by a wave splashing over the rail, and I heard the wave, thought he'd be off, so I came out into the cockpit, and there he was flying around the boat. We were sailing along pretty much like we are now, and he tried to come back to the boat. He flew back down low and came in just underneath the mainsail. He was just about to land, and a downdraft got him and put him in the water, and that was the end of him because he was already so weak. And it really was quite sad. Like, I liked his company, and I felt sorry for him because, you know, at the same time, you knew he wasn't going to survive either way, but to see him fall in the water like that was really sad. Anyway, a couple other boats have had birds, but they've all died as well. So, and I had one the other night, looked like some sort of all-black petrel. It was on board for most of the night, but he was gone in the morning. So it's a total of 4 birds I've had on board. Margie will get cranky soon. Trade wind spinnaker sailing, the best in the world. Some sargasso weed. There it is. It floats around in great big clumps and breaks off and just creates new little habitats there for crabs and fish and so on. So interesting stuff, that. And the ancient mariners used to be petrified of it. They would be scared that their ships would get stuck in big beds of sargasso weed, because this is the variables where the wind is very fickle, and then stuck in that weed they thought they'd get attacked by sea monsters or run out of food. And we're just blasting straight through it, so there you go. Sargasso seaweed. Back to the environment. And what are we doing? We're sailing under the spinnaker again. We've been sailing under that spinnaker now for 36 hours and we're still moving. Closest thing we've had to a warm or cold front in the North Atlantic so far. Everything's been really mild, but I've got 20 gusting 25, and this cloud bank looks really interesting. So I've decided to hold the number 1 until we get into it. And if it does blow up, then we'll just run downwind until we sort out what's going on. But yeah, it looks kind of interesting. Anyway, we'll just go underneath it and see what happens. Well, there's not much left of the bowsprit. I've got a gaping hole in the bow. I've managed to stabilise it quickly. I've managed to put a strop on and furl the number 1 up. Now I've got to decide what I'm going to do. But everything was sailing along just fine, and all of a sudden, bang, there goes the forestay, the number 1, the bowsprit, the whole lot. And now I've got to fix it and try and get to Newport without losing my lead. I've got to decide whether to tell the rest of the fleet. I don't think I will, because Josh will put the pressure on, and so city kids, so I've got a bit of a problem. I've got to worry about what's going to happen with everything up the top of the mast too. The halliards will wind up, all the rest of it's going to be a nightmare. Anyway, have to sort something out. Well, there you have it. Breakfast a la cruise ship Buttercup. Goes really well on a couple of Buttercup par bakes that I'll just heat up in a minute, and what a breakfast. Might not look much, but it tastes good. Anyway, if it doesn't work, I can use it to plug that hole in the bow. It'll set rock hard. Came up this morning and say, what's that on the wheel? Fish scales. What do fish scales mean? Fish scales mean flying fish. There we go. He was in the cockpit, so he whacked the wheel and fell in the cockpit. They're all over the place. I've been hit by them twice this trip.
With less than 200 miles to Newport, Don is in second place, with Servant 4 already across the line. Josh Hall in Spirit of Ipswich is running third, with Jack Boy in City Kids falling behind into fourth spot. This was to be the finishing order overall in Class 2.
Here's one of the cameras that brings you all the action. There's the other camera. But I've been plotting this ship from 5 miles out, and we're on an exact collision course at the moment. That bearing line is being constant. He's sitting on it right now, so we're coming in close to 1.5 miles away. Well, that one was so scary. That was unreal. We got out in the cockpit, and the guy was so close, sort of just over here. I could see the bow wave spray coming off the boat from his nav lights, and I thought, crikey, he's close. So I immediately turned the wheel hard over, and we came down side by side, and the guys came out on deck from their accommodation down aft, and like they're putting the torch onto the boat, and it was lighting up the boat. That's how close we were. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
As he nears the end of his epic voyage, this solo sailor is left to contemplate the joys and heartbreaks of having conquered his own Everest. A classic Aussie tale of a battler who has sacrificed everything to make a dream happen.
Well, there you have it. Newport's 80 miles that way. If all goes well, I'll be there about midnight local time. Margie will be there, and we've done it. It's hard to believe. It's just hit me in the last few hours that it's just about all over. It's been a lot of pain and suffering. There's been a lot of good times, a lot of bad times. I don't know how Margie's been able to put up with what she has in the last 12 months. It's been absolutely unbelievable. No one will ever know what she's really gone through except me. It's hard to believe that the boat's gone around. I mean, it's hard to believe that I've sailed single-handed around the world. I can't believe it. It's just been one day into another, and it really wasn't that hard. It sounds funny saying that now, but it really wasn't. The easiest part of this whole endeavour has been doing the race. When you get out there and you're worried and frightened and scared, you sort of can't do anything about it. You can't get off the boat and go home. You've got to get back to port, so you put up with it, and you feel good once it's over. So I feel it's starting to feel a bit of anticipation of finishing the race, but I'm not letting it get to me at the moment. But I know I'll be pretty phased once we cross the finish line and I see Margie. That's going to be real interesting. Would I do it again? Of course I would. Margie wants to go again. I want to go again, but we'll never ever do it this way. We'll go with a sponsor. If we can't get a sponsor, we don't go. Simple as that. I don't really want to sell the boat, but I have to. If there's any way that we can possibly hang on to the boat, I'd really like that, because I've really become attached to it. She's looked after me really well, and it looks as if we're going to come home second, which is amazing. Our priority was just to finish the race. So I look back on all the things, and it's like a movie. I mean, all the things that I think have happened in the last 9 months are just incredible. So there you go. Let's go to Newport.
Sunset at sea for a long time. And I'm drifting and dreaming on my way to Newport. Unbelievable.
This contagious victory signals a lifetime of adventure for Don and Margie McIntyre.
Lost the tune there, never mind. At 6 o'clock their mummies and daddies will take them home to bed because they're tired little teddy bears. Boom.